take to move a Ford Focus 13.5 feet?
Ooh. Ford Focus, that's a small car.
Yeah.
Pretty small.
Yeah, manageable.
I'm going to say 50.
50! That's a lot of sausages. What's the stereotype about engineers that's not true?
Ooh, I think that we kind of work in isolation, and that it's sort of the same, boring, crunching numbers. I think it's an old stereotype, but there are still people that have it, and it's a very collaborative and creative career. Very interactive. Engineers are often out on the site, out in the plant, out on the road, and interacting with people from all different disciplines to understand kind of all the parts of the problem. So, yeah.
On skis, maybe.
Maybe on skis too.
On a day soon.
Yeah.
Okay, another tough one, another toughie.
Okay.
Can you explain to Daphne upstream processing in 30 seconds? She will be quizzed after, and if she gets it wrong, she has to walk home from here. Daphne, get back here.
I'm sure you, Daphne, come here. This is important.
This is your time to shine.
This is how my kids listen to me at home too when I try to talk to them about upstream processing. Sit. So upstream processing in 30 seconds. Upstream processing is all of the preparation, growth, and harvesting of a biological product from cell culture. And then from there, the downstream processing takes over, and that's where the product is purified and packaged for delivery to a patient. So it's that first and early stages of production.
Daphne, did you get that? We weren't timing, so hopefully you did. We'll test you later. We'll see how you did. Who is the most famous engineer or scientist that you've met?
Engineer or scientist. Well, Carl Sagan was a professor where I went to college, but I never actually met him, even though I wanted to. So I would say probably the most famous professor, a scientist or engineer that I've ever met was actually a professor, but his name is Dr. Robert Langer. And he works at MIT, and he is a pioneer in the field of developing kind of controlled release for drug delivery, and also a lot of the early techniques for doing tissue engineering. So yeah, really, really interesting. I've heard him talk a number of times.
Awesome. What's the best project you've ever worked on?
Let's see, probably the best from the most fulfilling,
that
in the most fulfilling sense, was a project that I worked on where we, from the very start, we were involved in the bioreactor design for a new manufacturing suite where we would be producing a product that was the first treatment of its kind for a very rare genetic disease called Pompe disease. So, kind of hearing about from the patient advocacy groups while we were actually doing the work about how important this was going to be, and how many lives it could potentially save, especially for young children. A lot of kids die from the disease before the age of 2. So that was pretty interesting to know how much it affect the work that we were doing, and if we could get done a week faster or 2 weeks faster, that translated directly to lives potentially.
Yeah, very meaningful.
But I was also a beer panelist, and that was also a great project.
That was the best in another way.
In another way.
Yeah. In like a long weekend.
Right. Flavor formulation. Yeah.
That's what I call it. Yeah. Amazing. Now for something a little more challenging. An adult dog has 42 teeth, as you're familiar with, and a great white shark has 300. Who would win in a pie eating contest?
I think the adult shark could inhale both the dog and the pie at the same time, so the shark would win.
Okay. Yeah, good answer.
Okay. But I wouldn't want that to happen. We won't want that to happen.
What's your how would you get the pie underwater without it disintegrating so that the shark could eat it? You're going to need some kind of,
you could put the pie in the dog.
Pie
the dog
in the
underwater,
dog,
and then
dog
the shark.
in shark.
Yeah.
This is why,
she's
you're a scientist.
She's a water dog.
And I'm your boss.
Problem solving. That's engineering right there.
What's your favorite part about working at WPI?
Ooh, I think the people. It's a really incredible mix of people from all different backgrounds, diverse experiences, and I think like being on a team where people can bring those varied experiences to problem solving is, I think, really great.
Problems like pie and dog and shark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, changing the world here. How does your degree help you in your everyday life?
I think like an engineering education in general sort of teaches you how to think of things in a very process-oriented way, and I feel like that's useful to me in almost every aspect of my life. And then the sort of the chemistry, chemical side of it. I mean that's chemistry and biology exist in everything we do. So I mean, from when you're doing laundry or you're cooking in the kitchen, what happens inside your own body. I think it's given me an appreciation for how complex the world around us is, and yet sometimes how simple. So
good answer. Birds and lizards both lay eggs because of a common ancestor called the Archaeopteryx. If you could be a reptile or a bird, what would you choose and why?
A bird, because it would get me closer to my superhero
Power of flight.
Power of flight, yes.
Yeah. And you could poop on people from the air.
That's true.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah. It's good luck, though.
To poop on people?
No, to be
I knew it.
To be pooped on.
Oh, okay.
By a bird.
Doesn't seem like it.
You can cut that part.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kristin. I just have one last question for you both, and it's, who's a good girl? Are you a good girl? Yes, you are. All right, bring in the treats. You both get a cookie.
Oh, thank you.
You are such good girls today. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, wow, perfect. Happy faces.
You're faster.
Thank you very much for joining us for Furry Friendgineers.